Thank you so much and welcome to our Spring Pops concert. We have a lot of popular type music that we're going to share with you this evening. And we're going to start it off here with our 5th grade orchestra made up of Laurentian and North Star 5th graders. We got together earlier today and had our rehearsal, and you're going to really enjoy this group. So without further ado, the 5th grade orchestra. So for our next group, we have the 6th grade, and the 6th grade is going to do something a little different. They're going to get ready to stand in the back and play and walk up to the front. So we're going to need those house lights up a little bit higher for this. So we learned this fiddle tune, Bridges Full of Stitches. It's an Irish polka, thank you. And we learned it by ear so that we could walk around. And some groups call it strolling strings. In band, they call it marching band. But we're going to do this song for you as soon as we get a few more people seated. And then they're going to come up on stage and then they'll finish the rest of their set of tunes. I want to thank everybody for coming, and of course I have tons of acknowledgments, and I might as well just read a few of those off, and they're also in your program. Of course, we want to acknowledge my administrators, Mr. Manny, Mrs. Stefanich, and Mrs. Williams, as our activities director, Josh Lampa, our music faculty, Kevin Schumo, Rita Forsman, Julie Sandstead, Mandy Spots, our music task force, and our treasurer of our East Range Orchestra Parents Association, Kelsey Norvich, our paras, Cheryl, Kayla, and Tim, and teaching assistants, Hayden Hampton, Adrian Rausch, Ella Scherf, and Brady Peterson, our custodian, Alan Weirma, lights and sound, Mike Nystrom, and our transportation director, Bob Voss, who is super flexible and arranged for some extra transportation for us this morning because we had quite a morning. All right, so here we go with Bridges Full of Stitches. So just wanted to mention that the 6th grade didn't really have a dress rehearsal today due to a circumstance at school, and so we're just going to roll with it and do the best that we can here today. But our next piece is the Happy Blues, and that features some cellos and basses on the blues bass line, the 12-bar blues, and then the violins and violas learn how to do swing with their eighth notes. So we hope that you enjoy the Happy Blues. club can stay and the others can exit. And then, okay, there we go. We are with the 7th grade orchestra. We meet every other day here at the school, and it's been a really joy getting to work with these fine young ladies and gentlemen, and they're coming out now. We're going to be doing the theme for Jurassic Park movies, and fantasy and the Japanese folk song Sakura, the G Street Rock, which has a few solos in it, and also string and swing. So again, we're going to play that jazz swing style with our 8th notes, which is always lots of fun. So we hope you enjoy the junior high portion of our program, or 7th grade portion of our program. We're actually bringing on the high school fiddle club at this time. And 8th graders, you have to wait just a little bit longer before coming up, but you can wait in the wings over here. So bringing up the fiddle club for the high school. And here we're bringing on the 8th grade orchestra. This group also meets every other day here at this campus, and it's been really a lot of fun working with them. And our first piece is going to be conducted by my teaching assistant, Hayden Hampton. So I have a teaching assistant in 7th grade, an official one, Adrian, and then my unofficial ones are Ella and Brady. And then in the 8th grade, my official teaching assistant is Hayden. So Hayden's a multi-talented instrumentalist, and I said I was going to retire. He asked if he could have my job. So, well, you kind of need a degree and a license, but anyways, it gives me a chance to play with the violin section. up we are going to bring out the senior high, and we're going to do a combined piece together. I have two rather bottom-heavy orchestras, the 8th grade orchestra and the senior high orchestra, a little bottom-heavy. So we're going to feature them on this Spanish-influenced piece that should sound kind of like bullfighting music, called Cellos Olé. It has tons of fun techniques, glissando when you slide with your fingers up, and it has left-hand pizzicato, which is really, really tricky. Some shifting and harmonics, just to name a few of the techniques that we have. So just take us a second to set. A few more people are at the performance than were at the dress rehearsal, as you can tell, which we're thrilled about. There was a field trip today to Minnesota Discovery Center and all kinds of other things, so some people didn't make the rehearsals. But we're all full force now. So the 8th graders will take off, and then we are going to start with our senior high portion of the program. Continuing on in kind of the south of the border flavor, the Brazilian combination with some more traditional forms. This is a piece called Confluence, and it is composed by Renata Barat, who is a cellist. So there are some cello solos being played by Jonathan Crane and Leah Kivinen. We also have a viola solo that will be coming up here with Darren Tweeton, and a bass solo with Henry Heikela, and a couple violin solos with Brady Peterson and Wyatt Mettler. All right, so this is Confluence. Yeah, I did think I forgot somebody. It was Hayden who had a solo. We play a lot of musical chairs in this group, so sometimes I forget where people are sitting. So our next piece is Port Winnebago, famous in a lot of different movies. You've probably heard it before, but in case you can't tell, I really love tangos. So we've had 3 of them so far this evening, and we really hope that you enjoy our Port Winnebago. Chicken. I'm going to attempt to do some technology here. Don't get scared. Mr. Schumacher, are you here? He was. I cannot connect to the Apple TV. Of course, we practice this, right, Mike? So now it is working. So we had a little slideshow of student contributed photos and teacher approved photos. So there's a lot we couldn't put in here. But we are going to be playing our next piece, 1,000 Years, and hopefully by the time we finish our piece, we'll also be finished with our slideshow. All right, so wish us luck. So we have some gifts for our chaperones. If they could make their way to the stage, that would be super wonderful. If Mrs. Forsman is here, could also help me with those, handing out those acknowledgement gifts to our chaperones. That would be great.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we had a really great time in March. We went from March 26th to the 30th, and without these three plus Desi Tomzak, who represented the choir, we wouldn't have had as much fun. Between the joking and the laughing and the caretakers, we had some sick kids at the trip, and all of these three stepped up. And so, thank you. Your time away from work and your families to give it to us. We can't ever repay you. And so let's say thank you. And a special thank you to Mrs. Wilcox. She was kind enough to say yes when I said, I want to take the choir somewhere. And she said, great, do you want to go to Florida? And I said, don't think we can raise enough money in a short time. But we went together. You taught me a lot. And it's certainly been an honor and a privilege to be your co-worker. So thanks for hopping on the bus with us. And Orchestra, I had a great time with you. Happy memories. Thanks so much.
And I think we are ready for our senior spotlights next. So I had Ella prepare some slides and Jesse prepare a slideshow. Or was it Tanner? Tanner did the trip video. Yeah, okay, so lots and lots of talent here when it comes to technology. So, yes, thank you. So, Adrian, why don't you stand up so they, in case they can't recognize you from that big picture there. So our cellist here, also one of my teaching assistants, and his memories are up there, also his favorite pieces, and what he's planning to do, taking after my son and going to St. Scholastica for a degree in exercise physiology and hopefully someday physical therapy, correct? Yes, awesome. So do you have any words of wisdom or anything that you want to say?
It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, I've had Wilcox for 8 years at this point, I think. I think music is like something that you can find a fulfillment in, like no matter, like I'm an athlete, I'll always be an athlete, but I think I found something in music that I really, really enjoy, so enjoy it because it goes by fast, so.
Wonderful. Darren Tweeden is next. You might not recognize him right side up. He's a violinist with violist, also takes private lessons with Holly at Schmidt Music, and definitely is enjoys gaming, as was evident at our rockathons. His favorite pieces are listed there for you, some of which we haven't played, some of which we have played. I'm planning to go into welding, and keep up with the music. Do you have any words that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So, I have some great advice, I think, for some of the younger musicians. The most important thing I think you can do in music is not just to play the notes on the page, but to play the feeling. The quote that stuck with me most in my musical career is from Kevin Passion, and he told me, "Music is emotion in measured time," and I've followed those ever since.
Riley is a cellist, and his favorite orchestra memory was our trip to Orlando. We had to get on the same schedule, or we wanted to get on the same schedule as the band, so that's why some of these kids got to go on 2 trips, but in the future, every 4 years is the pattern that we have. Favorite piece was Dragon Hunter. How many of you played Dragon Hunter? Lots of people love it, and some people out here loved Dragon Hunter as well. Plan to go to college for business. And where is it again that you're going?
Minnesota North.
Awesome. Any other words?
Well, I didn't like it at first, but then I kind of stuck it out, and now I kind of like it.
Next up is Caden. Caden is a multi-talented instrumentalist, and again, he loved the Florida trip and all of those memories, and a lot of his pieces we played this year, and plans after high school. He's still working and just trying to figure it out, unless of course he applies for my job. There are no words. Next we have Jesse Jones, who either didn't understand the question. What instrument do you play? And he said cello. There is clearly a guitar there, so I bet he plays guitar too. No, just teasing you, Jesse. Again, favorite memory of the Florida trip, is love that, and Pirates of the Caribbean on the Florida trip is a wonderful piece. Going to trade school for welding, and hopefully we'll stay in the area, so we'll hope to see you in some other adult orchestras. Maybe someday. Do you have any words?
No.
Tanner, Mr. Technology. So how do I turn on the lights, Tanner? How do I turn on the microphone, Tanner? How do I turn on my computer, Tanner? I can't get connected to my whiteboard. So instruments he plays computer, and violin. His favorite orchestra memory was the Star Wars portion of the Orlando trip, and a favorite piece that no one else mentioned, the Pink Panther. I'm going again to Minnesota North for a couple of years in engineering, and then going on to get a 4-year college degree in mechanical engineering. No surprise there. Any words, Tanner?
If you don't know what you're doing right now, or how you want your future to look, just know there's every option in orchestra or any other class that you find here, and especially in orchestra, follow your standmates and your leaders. They will help guide you through the rest of orchestra.
Wyatt has been playing orchestra also with the Saudi Symphony this year. He plays in a band and sort of self-taught on the piano. And favorite memory is on the orchestra bus rides where he sings at the top of his lungs to and from. Here to where we're going and back. Every song that you can think of. And leads the sing-alongs, independent choir. Favorite memory is, of course, the bus rides, and favorite orchestra piece you've played.
Favorite orchestra piece you've played? It's hard to decide. There's just so many.
Well, he was unable to answer that question. After high school, is reading and getting a degree in chemistry. Any words that you would like to say?
I don't know, just like practice. I don't know, have fun with it. You know?
Awesome. All right, Brady is playing violin. He can also play a few of the other instruments, especially if he plays along with the younger kids. And he has conducted on the last concert, but not on this one. His favorite orchestra memories is just enjoying the music and sitting next to his friends. And some of his favorite pieces are listed there. Nimrod, one of my favorites too. Plans to work for a year, take a gap year, continue studying with his teacher online, and then go into music school and pursue performance, I would imagine. Any words you'd like to say?
Don't just practice the right thing the right way. With a metronome, Connor. And I'm hijacking this for you. Happy retiring.
So I'm not a singer. Speaking of them, Miss Wilcox is retiring this year. So a handful of oh, my speech coach is recording me. Hi. A handful of us put together a couple words and gifts for Miss Wilcox. I'm going to start off by saying I didn't know what bass was until Miss Wilcox pointed at it and said, "No, plays bass in this orchestra." And there I was, stuck playing bass. I barely knew what violin was, and I was actually very sure that I was going to be in band, as did my parents think that I was going to be in band. To quote my mom, when I told her I joined the orchestra in school that day, you could have played the flute. There have been many times when I regretted playing the largest instrument in the orchestra, like every time I have to carry it in competition. But there's one thing I've never regretted, joining orchestra. But although I love music, that's not why. It's because of Mrs. Wilcox. She has a special talent of making every student feel truly cared for in a way that I can confidently say I will cherish for the rest of my life. Every class, every email, every time I stop to gossip or just waste time when I didn't want to in my other classes. I felt like I had a teacher who cared about me as an individual, not just as a musician, not just about what my skill level was, but an individual student that she cherished. And that's not to say we never bickered, because we certainly did. But even when we bickered, I walked away with a smile on my face. I now realize that I know our entire class can agree how incredibly much Mrs. Wilcox's teaching impacted us as both people and musicians. I'm forever grateful for two things. The first being that I didn't play the flute. And the second being that I in turn got Mrs. Wilcox as a teacher and mentor. Finally, Ella and I created a small gift basket to show how grateful we are to have had Mrs. Wilcox as a teacher.
Last class, we had the whole class sign it. We got her little forget me not, she doesn't forget us. We put help in our music grow. Kind of a little garden, just a little. Then we have like some candles and a card, just to like wish her a happy retirement. And yeah, someone else has some things too.
So I've been in this orchestra since 5th grade. Miss Wilcox is the teacher I've had for easily the longest amount of time. And she has been there since I was like this big, now this big, I'm leaving now, and she's leaving now. There's a time in ninth grade that I was debating quitting orchestra. I just wasn't having fun with it anymore. But through I decided to tough it out, and I'm so glad that I did. This group of people, I love you all. You're all amazing. You make my day every single day. And Miss Wilcox, you're leaving now. This program's never going to be the same. You've been in here for 38 years. It's never going to be the same. You've done so much for this group, this program. It's appreciated.
Such happy memories over the decades, and what a treat to have students of former students presenting me with flowers. It's heartwarming to see that over the years. We're going to leave you with "Don't Stop Believing." Maybe not.
So I'm not a speech good with words, and I'm horrible thinking of gifts to give people. Even though you've been one of the most influential people in my entire life, since I was like shorter than Wyatt. and so just to thank you, I'm gonna express how I feel the way I know how to play a short piece for you. Adrian, Eden, me, and Darren. And I hope you.
After all the justice she's done us.
Now I'm speechless. So, more flowers. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Love this. I'm feeling the love. I really am. This is really a treat. I really appreciate it. So now I think we're going to do Don't Stop Believing, right? If there's no further objections. This is so awesome. Thank you.